New black queer woman to play Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar musical at Hollywood Bowl.
Do you like my headline?
Cynthia Erivo, is that your name?
Cynthia Erivo.
Will be playing Jesus in the upcoming Hollywood Bowl production of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Look, Jesus Christ Superstar was blasphemous anyway, so.
True.
I like it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Still blasphemous, but that's okay.
So,
Like Godspell?
yeah.
What about Godspell?
So let's hold on. I need some context here, guys. I don't understand. Am I supposed to be offended that a black woman is Jesus?
No, it's a British woman. She's like got a British accent and everything. How could a British person ever play Jesus?
British people can't be Jesus?
No.
It does sound funny when I hear Australians or Brits talk about Jesus Christ and God. I'm like, that sounds funny, but no.
Sounds funny.
Yeah.
Well, why not? I don't know. What,
No, I just thought it was interesting and that people
why can't
would
she
like
be
it.
Jesus?
Because she's female.
It might be offensive.
Jesus was a guy.
Jesus was a man.
Jesus was a man. The only
Jesus
man
was
that
a
didn't
man,
sin.
and sexuality was not part of what was his driving cause in
Exactly.
the world.
Yeah.
So
And-
that's
and-
He was
the-
sinless, man.
And why
but
is Jesus
Cynthia-
Christ Superstar blasphemous?
Because
I don't think it
it's supposed to be Judas rethinking whether or not Jesus was actually the Son of God. And whether he
But
was-
that's what he was doing when he collected his silver in the first place.
Yeah, he even though he followed him, he moved away from him because
Right.
the money was even better.
Still
It's
blasphemous.
this right here though. This is again another example with the queer pastors. That woman who tried to berate Trump, then you find out she was getting paid by USAID.
Yeah.
Didn't her
right.
church get like 58 million?
Yeah,
or something?
58
It
million.
was a nonprofit or something, or the church.
But
Episcopalian
all of
or
this
fake
is
religion.
why, and actually I commend you, Tim, because I know you're not deep in it as a Christian, but you respect kind of what Christianity has done for the world and the country, and we need to get back to that, as I would say, like to call it, become more biblical Americans. Doesn't mean you have to be a Baptist or Catholic or anything, but biblical Americans, you understand our foundation, our founding fathers, our Gen Zs of the time, if you will, were the ones that used the Bible. It's referenced 36 times in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights as our foundation. And if we don't get back to that understanding, things like this, and people can come up and they can do that. He gets us washing feet of transgenders and people who are still on drugs and not understanding. There is actually a core foundation of turning away from your issues, turning away from keep doing those terrible things in your life so that you can get, receive a better life in that love of Christ. So if we start to get back there and be bold and Christians, I believe we've advocated too much of the social space, and that's why we're struggling the way we are. We need to get back into the schools. We need to get back into entertainment. We need to get back into music so that we can start to shift our culture back to understanding who we are. And one little point I want to make too, my great-great-great-grandfather, Mamadou Massaquoi, who was the first ambassador from Liberia to Germany, he came over here and went to school in Tennessee. And in 1892 would travel the U.S., go to educational conferences. In his speech, he would talk about the greatness of this country that would outlast those of the past and those to come, because the foundation is in Jesus Christ. This was a black man dressed up in all garb, going around to the South, went to school in Tennessee and everything, talking about this is what makes us great, is our foundation in Jesus Christ. So we have to get back to is why they wanted to move us away from God and just, look up to, hey, whatever you want to do.
I know exactly why. Because religion generally offers peace and it offers community, and the left needs unhappy people that are atomized, because happy people do not engage in revolutionary activities. The left needs people pissed off. That's why they're activists. That's why they're out protesting, because they're trying to get eyes on them and get other people that might be upset easily too.
But also you have this element of, I don't want to necessarily say like the red pill, that's the old name for these groups, but these individuals, these influencers who are very much telling men to sleep with as many women as possible.
Yeah, they're godless though.
Andrew Tate recently said, something to the effect of, a man should have with kids with as many women as possible, like you're a conqueror or whatever. And I was just thinking
about a father.
But I was just thinking about that, and I was
different.
the whole of the Western world and the greatest civilization this planet has seen is built upon the Christian moral tradition and monogamy.
Yes.
And so by all means, you can advocate for whatever you want, but certainly in other parts of the world that don't have these moral traditions, we never saw the success we see here in the United States.
They're struggling.
Yeah.
The setup is you start with Christ, then you go to the man is the head of the household, which is the first form of government. We all know this, right? That's why they work so hard, and they showed us in the black community. You take the man out, Now there is no source of government. They have to look to daddy state to please help us just to live and survive. And why are you taking away food stamps and all this, that, and the other?
Yo, it is crazy to me that when I was growing up, so many of my friends were like, I'm broke, I need to find a job.
Yeah,
and my worldview was very different. I would always be like, no, you need money. I was like, there's a distinction between needing to find a job and needing money. A job is basically if you're saying like you want a stable source of income over a long period of time without having to think too much about it. Right now, you need to find out how to make money. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. I was like, homie, take your guitar and go on the side of the street in Wrigleyville and just play the guitar. You'll make $100 in a couple hours. They couldn't process that.
Because I believe, I remember growing up and an idea was, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to college.
Thing too. It's like you were expected to go to college
Yes.
from the time I was 6 years old.
And if you
Enter the
feel,
machine.
and you feel like a failure because that was the cultural push that you felt like a failure if you didn't go to college. I didn't like college. My wife was like, I didn't want to go, but everybody told me I had to go.
Yeah.
So it's kudos to you that you're like, well, I don't get that. I'll just go make my own thing. But that's not what the schools are telling us growing up. That's not, up in Evanston.
I did my own research. I found that college dropout billionaires on average had 3 times the wealth of college graduate billionaires.
Really?
Yeah, all the famous stories what's really fascinating to me is that in my community growing up, which was music and skateboarding, all the big names were dropouts, high school dropouts. So a lot of the big pro skateboarders just never went to high school. Why? Well, they were making tons of money as a professional athlete. So they said, school isn't for me. I will pursue what my career is. And then you have all these stories of like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates dropping out of college and starting companies and making a bunch of money. And then I'm sitting here being like, all of my friends who are going to college have no path forward, no plan. And then all of these stories we hear of the most successful people are they stopped going to school. Okay, I guess I'm not going to do that. And then what happens? We have a generation of people who don't know how to work for themselves. And that was always the point.
Yeah.
You will live in the pot, you will eat the bugs.
Yeah.
And you will have black, queer, female.
Jesus Christ. Jesus.
Well, and what we have
Jesus
now
is-
now we have a Jesus who's being played by an actress who
Is a witch.
who
And likely has utter disdain for the religion.
right,
Of
who
course.
thinks that
Absolutely.
she's non-binary and is also driven in her art by her political ideologies that are driven by identitarianism and sexual identity.
The blasphemy.
That doesn't have anything to do with Jesus Christ. She also played in this. She played this show before she played Mary Magdalene.
The blasphemy that is happening here is the motivation for her to do
true.
this. Like, and I'm an agnostic. I'm not even like a religious person.
Just understand.
It's just the reason she wants to is the same reason that they made Piss Christ.
Yeah.
Right? To put
Andre Serrano.
Yeah, well, but I mean that's the motivation.
One of the
Wait a minute.
NEA,
Wait.
one of the
Did you just say
NEA 9.
piss Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know
there
what
was
that
this, it was a photograph.
The name is ridiculous.
It was
Oh my
literally funded by the NEA in the 90s.
Tell 'em
This
what it is.
artist, this photographer, Andre Serrano, submerged a crucifix in urine and then photographed it.
Yeah,
And we
point-
paid for it, you guys. We paid for that.
And the
I met
point
him at a
of
party
that-
one time.
The point of that is to blaspheme, to mock the religion. So she's doing this, just the fact that she's doing this. She's like, look at me, my identity, blah, blah, blah. And I'm playing Jesus Christ. I'm playing the Lamb of God. I'm playing the most pure man that's ever lived.
Well, and the funny thing is, the Bible talks about this. It says that they will be haters and mockers of God. Like they come at you because they came at me first. This isn't new. Ecclesiastes, nothing new under the sun. But I like because Cynthia Erivo, it sounds like a Nigerian name, and it makes me think, man, if they dropped her in a village in Nigeria, I guarantee she wouldn't be non-binary anymore.
She has
She'd be
ridiculous.
She'll be a black
Cynthia
woman.
is certainly not.
She's from the UK.
Yeah,
No, the last name. I'm saying like the origin of her.
Cynthia is not a Nigerian name.
No.
No, He's stupid. Erivo.
Well, you said Cynthia Erivo sounds Nigerian. I'm like,
No, Erivo does though.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
So I would, but if you took her and you just dropped her right into that village, that little random village with no electricity, that non-binary stuff goes out the window.
You know,
That's
and
true. That's true for all of
this
All
stuff.
of it,
young people in
yeah.
the United States.
look, I'm
There was
all the like
there's a
Transistinians.
a viral story where a guy said it was a Reddit post that his school informed him that his daughter was a trans boy, and his response was, "Oh wow, I had no idea. Thank you so much. What do I do?" And they said, gender affirming care and all this stuff. And he says, absolutely. Just Tell me where to go to the doctor. This is really amazing. Thank you for helping my child. And then immediately started packing up, planned to move, found another job, and then told the school, thank you so much for all of your help. I'm moving for work, but we'll make sure to get my son the treatment he needs. And then moved to a rural area, got his daughter away from all that stuff. And then he was like, within 3 to 6 months, he was back to being a normal teenage girl.
Yep. Yep. If you look at the statistics, it's the blue areas where more kids have identified as these trans and flippants and whatever they want to call it, furries and all this stuff. It's literally an indoctrination in these blue areas. Like,
don't give them the internet.
Left. Yeah, internet too.
Yeah, don't give them the internet because predators are online and misery loves company.
How long do you think you're going to wait till your kids get to...
My kid won't know the internet exists. I told Allison we're going to build a time capsule house that looks like the 1980s. And we're going to raise my daughter as if it's the 80s. And then just one day when she's old enough, we'll be like, whoa, we're in the future. And these strange devices. It's a good thing you're an adult.
What you think, like 22?
We're gonna live in an underground bunker where we have nothing but 80s content because the 80s was the best decade, and we're gonna be like, we live underground because the Soviets dropped a bomb and wiped everybody out. And then
funny. I started watching the Fallout
show.
I watched that with my son. We had fun watching that.
Just to watch the couple.
He knows
of
the internet exists. He's probably watching the show right now.
Yep.
Like,
she'll just one day wake up and it'll be the year 2030, 2040 or whatever.
2042 or something.
Yeah,
I'll
and
be
we'll
like,
be
where are all
like,
the gas-powered cars, Dad?
And I'll be like, we must be in the future. How strange.
Remember the Jetsons? Remember I showed you that? We're
Yes.
here.
The internet. What a strange thing.
What, Dad?
Best
Dad,
stay
risk
away from that.
Do you put on your hazmat suit every time you just to leave and come to do the show, and you go back in there? You're like, yeah, I'm just getting us.
The air is
food.
poison. If you go outside, you'll die.
Yeah.
Stay indoors till you're 20.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I don't know.
Digging.
I think I think no cell phone, no internet, no social media. Probably, and it's really what matters is we're looking at 2041. Like when is this really going to matter for my child?
Right.
I mean, honestly, in 13 years, so 2038, who knows what social media and all of the stuff is going to look like? For all we know, by then TikTok is gone and everyone's in Neuralink, and then we're just like, you ain't getting Neuralink.
Yeah.
And then she's like, but all my friends have Neuralink and they're all networked and floating around and humming to each other in a strange binary muttering. We're like, that's
like the Binars on.
That's right.
Have you guys ever seen those videos of? And I did it one time at like an arts show in LA where they give people individual headsets and it has different music on there.
They do like the
silent
People like kind of just hang out. You're with each other, but you're not, and everyone's dancing. That is what you're talking about.
Quiet raves or whatever.
Yeah, and so that could be the world of people.
I was whenever I drive the Tesla, whenever I drive it, I press the auto drive, and then I just sit there half glazed over, like as the car drives for me.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, it's a Tesla, bro.
Yeah,
you punch in the address, you press go, and it just drives.
No,
you just put your hands on your lap and you sit there and you stare out the window.
They're currently safer than people.
Yeah. Now here's the thing.
Anomalies.
So is not freedom, but hey,
right, not freedom is definitely
safer than freedom.
So here's the thing. Allison hates it.
Yeah.
And she
Allison.
refuses to use it.
Yeah,
and I told her, I was like, you do realize that in 14 years, our daughter's going to be like, Mom, just let the robot drive. Dad lets the robot drive. And she's like, yeah, well, your father also just trusts the machine, blah, blah, blah. And then starts laughing like, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Ooh, God.
But I'm like, I don't know. Who knows? At that point, we'll be in flying cars. Probably not.
Well, either that or we will have regressed and none of this will exist anymore. There'll be solar flares. Everything will be demagnetized. We will have lost all the data, you know.
That's if the left wins, though, too.
That's like, or if just something screwy happens.
Yeah, I
Like,
say,
screwy
look,
stuff
don't
can
be afraid.
happen,
Don't be
you know?
afraid of the future. But like, there are certain skill sets that I think human beings should try to, have within themselves.
You ever watch Dr. Stone?
Oh, the anime?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's Magic School Bus for kids who like anime.
Yeah.
Or it's Magic School Bus for little boys, and whereas Magic
Little
School
boys
Bus
who
is
love-
like not fun.
Yeah.
But it's basically this simple version. Humanity is wiped out. Long story short, thousands of years later, people are turned to stone. Thousands of years later, some people wake up and they have to build the world from scratch. It's actually
interesting.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
interesting
it's
when he's like, "Here's how you make wax," and like, "Here's how you get magnets," and like. I'm like, man, I actually learned a bunch of weird survival stuff from watching that anime.
For sitting back and just kind of like vegging
through.
out and being
Yeah.
like, all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, this is how you make candle wax. It's crazy.
Yeah, like finding magnets by like bringing iron to a river and then waving it around until you can feel the attraction. There's like weird stuff they do. I'm like,
that's well, what the Boy Scouts doing, what they've done. Dr. Stone actually, it's a good tool now.
That's actually really sad that we don't have like a Boy Scouts functional anymore.
Well,
now what is it? The People Scouts?
No, but there's trail.
Little People Scouts.
There's Trail Life.
Trail Life.
There's Trail Life and this one for girls, which I always just think of as American Girls, but it's not that. But there's it's like Heritage or something. But yeah, it's in a lot of churches, and it's not necessarily run by the church, but it's its own organization. But it's more like actual traditional Boy Scouts, and the girls have one, and the boys have one, and the boys do adventure stuff, and it's
the girls stay in the kitchen and cook.
No, the girls have adventure stuff, but they also cook.
There you go. You got
but the boys learn how to do stuff. Like they do stuff. It's not the Boy Scouts, and it's not that big glommy, probably USAID funded organization.
Right.
Instead, it's like much more just adventure stuff. It's local.
Did you guys hear about the Girl Scout cookies being poisoned?
What? No.
Oh my!
Are these the ones that are in my cupboard right now? What's going on?
Yeah, it's like the FDA. Oh my goodness, man! I'm sorry we just cut over real hard, but they apparently it has a bunch of stuff in it that like is poisonous for you.
Which ones?
All of them. I know.
When you say poisonous, what
Yeah,
do
are
you
you
mean?
talking-
I mean, like
Do you mean
hold
like
on,
red
wait,
number
I gotta
5?
find
You mean
it.
like arsenic? All of difference.
Yeah, right.
It's just
Just
a little
like
bit of arc.
block-
Like cyanide, like it's a cyanide or like
Atrazine.
Yeah, exactly. There's a difference. They're both poison. One is a little more immediate than the other.
I was gonna say, is this like RFK Jr. kinds of poison, or like the little green face with the tongue sticking?
Or Tylenol had to change the whole caplet thing kind of
the eyes
poison.
getting crossed out on each side. No,
Remember that little thing, that little green sticker with the eyes
yeah.
and the tongue, and your parents would stick it on stuff so the kids.
They'd be like, "Don't touch it."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a
I
'90s
don't
kid.
remember that.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.